I think our next speakers will have to say more about the regulatory challenges as just discussed from an operational perspective. Please welcome to the stage Esther Martin-Ortega, who is Head of Public Affairs and Sustainability at Flutter Entertainment. Jorge Hinojosa, Director General of the Trade Association Jdigital. And moderating is Camille Gonzálvez, who is gaming lawyer at ECIJA, our host today, who will moderate this panel.
So, hi everyone. Thank you very much for being here in this session. That's going to be very short but very interesting. We're going to be accompanied by Jorge and Esther, as William said, who are our speakers who will tell us more about the regulatory burdens and license market sustainability in the Spanish market, of course. And with them, we're going to see now how the latest initiatives from the regulator have landed in the industry that's already highly regulated. So we're going to see what's going on and what could happen with the cross-operator deposit limits. Eventually, we'll talk about the algorithm problem detection system. And we will also see what's been going on with the rise of the black market this last year. So as said, we only have 20 minutes, so we'll dive into it directly. And Esther, I'm going to ask you first, how attractive is for you the current regulated market compared to a few years ago?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for inviting us to this conference. It's a great pleasure to see so many colleagues coming from different places. And to address your question, I think the Spanish market is no doubt attractive if we look at the figures, and we have seen the figures presented by the DGOJ last year. So we have seen a growth in the GGR. I think it's over 17% year on year. So if we take the figures are positive. However, as mentioned in previous panels, it's not all the figures. We need to take into account that since May last year, some of the restrictions on advertising were lifted. We also need to take into account that there's, as mentioned, a shift perhaps also from the retail and land-based to the online market. So that's naturally something that will happen. We are seeing a generation of smartphone natives. So, you know, it's natural that there's growth, but where we are now is experiencing a few years of intensive regulations. So we have had the advertising decree, we have the safer gambling decree, we have some more regulations in the way, as explained this morning by the Director General. And so I think we are at a point right now where, yes, the market is attractive, but the question is for how long it can sustain this level of growth. So I sense that there is growing concern, and I think the position of operators is different. It's different from new entrants to more consolidated brands. But I think there's gain in the market, but there's pain also in it, and more coming our way.
Yeah, no, for sure there is still some space for growth. And now we have seen, and as Mikel said, with the lifting of the advertising restrictions, again, they intensified risky behaviors on players. But I will now ask Jorge, because last year we have seen that the DGOJ has cracked down, imposing 77 million fines on illegal operators, and on legal operators they have imposed 2.5 millions of fines. But my question is, how effective is this enforcement strategy of the DGOJ? Are illegal operators sufficiently deterred yet or not?
Good morning, and thank you, William, for inviting me to participate in this. It's not really a round table, it's a conversation table, just to speak among a friend. Once more, William here, and one more, a harder day for me. I hope with my English level or your Spanglish level, we do understand most of I pretend to say. I think first of all it's positive to see that the regulator is making a visible effort to act against the illegal offerings. But that's positive. But at the same time, the 96% of the fees is illegal operator, and only the 4% is for legal operator. So it's quite difficult to find that this activity, supervision and inspection and sanction, it will be really effective to deter the rest of the operator. So it's a good idea, it's a good activity, and I think that we have to stay not happy, of course, but it's nice. Very important to highlight that the most of the legal operators demonstrate high regulatory compliance. So sometimes we would like to see the notice, the news in the different level. Because if you read the news, DOJ 100 million sanction fees, 90%, 96% is not going to be effective, and only the 4% is for the legal operator. So I think it's a good activity, and we have to find that it's not the only tool to fight against the illegal gambling and black market.
Do you think that that 90% that is not being paid, for instance, I mean, do you agree with Xavi when he said that even though some fines do not get paid, or most of them, it still has an impact in the sense that you stop them from operating in the Spanish market because at least they got the fine, that means that they are on the DOJ radar. Do you think that at least is useful?
Well, it's one of the tools, not the only tool, but we have to give out of the market that we have supervision activity. Yeah. It's not enough, but it's one step.
I agree with you.
If I also can add to this, even though it's not addressed to me, but I think the problem with the offshore operators is that you might take one down, but there's always another one with more risk appetite to fill that void. So, it's a race to try to capture market share of market.
Absolutely. And Esther, now that you're saying that, do you think that the black market has grown, and by how much? More or less, if you have an idea of that.
Yeah. Well, I think we had early on very good, sound, data-driven presentations which clearly showed that the black market has grown. How much? Well, we have seen a presentation that mentioned 23%, which is very high. There was another one that said it could be in the region of 13%. It's very difficult to measure, so that's why we keep on talking about the size of the black market, and that's why there is this discussion, and some try to downplay the importance of the black market. Others try to stress it and are really concerned. But the truth is, yes, it's growing, and we are seeing more and more of this because if you check your social networks, your social media, you see advertising of, I don't know who you follow, but there are crypto influencers, micro influencers on gambling, on gaming, and so and they always find a way of putting the advertising in front of you, and they get the visibility they need. And again, we have a generation of smartphone natives that they are all day checking what's going on in social media, and there are new payment methods and providers. So there's cryptos, there's e-wallet. So the access for a consumer to the black market is much broader now than ever. So I think yes, and it's a concern.
Absolutely. So now we do have the information that it has grown, as far as we know, at 24%, the black market. And the question now will be, what is going on with all of those new initiatives that has been proposed by the regulator? How do we welcome them? So Jorge, I will ask you your thoughts on the latest proposals of the DGOJ. So we talked, for example, about the risk detection algorithm that has been mentioned a lot today. Also the cross-operator deposit limits that we're waiting for next year, I think. And my question actually is if you think that it makes sense to continuously introduce new regulations without actually knowing how previous rules how previous rules had an impact.
Yeah, this serves a reminder that licensed operator play by very different rules than illegal ones. The reform introduced over the past 7 years have rightly focused on player protection, but they have not been complemented, in my opinion, by policies that keep the market more competitive. And this is important because the problem with this situation, it will be, as Esther said before, a problem with the medium-term sustainability. So we have not right now a problem, but we are going to have, no doubt, a problem in the future. We think our core message is coming in is we don't have a business model problem. We have a market model problem. And that's the reason that is very important in our opinion. Of course, the new regulation can be in the future. We know algorithm, the crossover, deposit limit, but very important to evaluate the current legal framework and properly assess its effect on the market. We know what happened. We know what result the new regulation have got. In this occasion, we found and really nice and really good to discuss with the regulator in the new, as Xavi this morning said, in the new safe game for the period 2026 to 2030 to talk about the evaluation ex post of the old regulation. So it's really good for the democratic system to know the effect if the regulation got the result expected. Because if we have more problem than before, something is going bad, but not really the business model.
Mm-hmm.
It's a market model.
True that maybe with this new safe gambling program that we have for 2026-2013, it will be the opportunity to assess how current regulations have been working. Esther, I want to ask you the same question.
Yes. No, I totally agree with Jorge in terms of, good policy making requires an assessment on how the rule and the regulation is towards achieving the goals that it's aimed for. So that's something that we would like to see, because it also helps us to understand where we need to focus our efforts or redirect our efforts and improve how the market is operating. Also in terms of the measures that are coming, I think there's no denial. We are all very concerned and supportive of measures that address player protection. That's for us it's a must, and I think it's a must for this sector, because otherwise, this sector would not be viable. So for us, measures are necessary, but measures need to be proportional to the size of the problem, need to be thought through, particularly, as Jorge said, because outside the regulatory framework, there are no rules. Not these, none. And so, we want to keep players within a protected environment, but a protected environment that it's attractive as well. So we think, it's very good to bring operators to the same standards, because I think at the end of the day, the algorithm aims to bring operators to implement the same set of controls in order to determine who is at risk of developing a problem gambling disorder, which is good. But we need to make sure we don't lose sight of what happens outside, because it's not only a bubble in Spain. There's only certain things you can do in a regulated environment, and we don't want to push customers outside. Joint deposit limits also, I think from a policy perspective might make sense, but the way they are implemented is something that raises questions, and we will need to assess the after implementation, because otherwise, we will not have a right way of assessing whether it's worked, whether it's made the problem worse, whether it has expelled those customers that are a bit more sophisticated, that do not want to play within certain restrictions in terms of products or limits. So yes, there's a lot that needs to be done in that context.
Absolutely, no, for sure we have to find a balance that allows active players or high valuable players to remain within the legalized operators. Otherwise, we will just lose them, we will lose player protection, they will go to the black market. So it's hard to find a balance, which is why I'm going to ask you this last conclusive question to both of you. Jorge, if you could recommend one key change to the regulator or to the sector, what would it be?
I am not the main advisor of the DGOJ, but I can share with DGOJ what to create a best gambling market is a common job. It's not a DGOJ problem, or it's not operator problem. It's a common job. We are to work together in order to create the best market gambling, more competitive, etc. So I think that we have to keep protecting player policy, but at the same time to improve the gambling market. For example, new modalities of live games. Mm-hmm. We asked to the regulator, offering useful tools to channel players to the legal market. So we have to do something to improve and to make stronger the gambling market, because it will be good in order. The plan for the safe game is for the legal market. Is nothing for the illegal market. Nothing. So it would be a good idea to work together. In that sense, second recommendation, and no more dialogue among regulator and the sector. For example, recently we knew that the government, the regulator, through the parliament's groups, Socialista and Sumar, introduced the amendment in the ley of the attention to the client, the atención a la clientela, a very important amendment with two significant changes for the sector: provider register and the nominative payment method or system with a strong repercussion in the market. Well, we knew about that when we saw in the Congress magazine, in the Congress bulletin, that finally the proposal never talked before with the sector. And I think that to make much better market, more sure and more effective the protection to the player, more and stronger legal market, and work together. The sector, the operator, are not only the final destination of the rules. It's really but important to improve our market thinking in the future, not thinking in this legislature.
absolutely agree with you. We do need more discussion between regulators, Poder Judicial, the police. Esther, what are your conclusions about that one key recommendation?
Okay, it's very good that you have two speakers because Jorge gave you two recommendations or two ideas. I'm gonna give you another one, so that makes three. So yes, I agree with Jorge. Dialogue is paramount. I think we are together in this, and we need to work together in order to make the market stronger and measures to be effective. Then, of course, it's very, very important to keep the market attractive, and that means more product offer, allowing some products, as Jorge mentioned. We have to keep up with what's offered outside the regulated market, because otherwise, players in Spain won't be attracted, won't want to play with what's here if outside, elsewhere, there are more attractive products that they can have at a click. That's something that Mauro said, and I really liked it. .com is just a click away, and that's so true. And then my one would be, to wrap up, serious and measurable measures, efforts against the black market. So I think we might disagree on the figures. Some may say it's higher, others that it's lower, but there's definitely a way into the unregulated market, and we are seeing customers shifting towards the unregulated offering, and we need to do something together. And I think that's more than in the operator's hands. It's with the regulator to act.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. Thank you for being on the panel, Esther, Jorge, and thanks everyone.
Jorge.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we have time for one question. I think it connects well to what you just said, Esther. Can we have the question from the... So, is there a way, Jdigital or the sector in general, as you just mentioned, Esther, that can help the DOJ to fight back to the black market? One.
Well, the first question is to be part of the discussion.
And then how? Any suggestions?
And then we can offer the operator experience and to create a common idea. But if you don't have the opportunity to talk, probably you don't have the opportunity to offer our experience.
Your willingness, I'm sure, is appreciated. Esther?
Yes, exactly. I think we have a view on what's going on in the market, and we have market insight teams and research teams, and we have data that can be shared with the regulator. And I think it's a matter of sitting down and looking at the problem together.
Well, hopefully that will happen soon. Thank you very much for joining us. Camille, please stay here, and see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.